Mine? Testing, 1, 2, 3. All good? After crossing the midway point of the 2024 NPL Victoria men's season, we return to Frank Holohan for the first time these two sides have faced each other since 2022 at this very venue. A round one result, a stunner at that, 4-3, a massive come-from-behind effort from Dandenong City was not enough to defeat Avondale, who since then have now sat in third position in the NPL Victoria table. As for Dandenong City, their first year back in the top flight has proved much successful. Currently sitting in 7th place at the moment, but 2 losses in their last 2 does not exactly send a great message to Nick Tolios, who is suspended for tonight, a touchline ban for him, as we'll take you through the starting lineups of the two teams. Starting off with the away side, Avondale. Number 4, Aidan Bryce. Number 14, Blake Carpenter. Number 80, Sian Cuba. Number 19, Liston Diaz. Number 17, Adam El Hayek. Number 68, Kalalu Kamara. Number 33, Joey Katabian. Number 11, Kerr. Number 21, Thomas Manos. Number 9, George Ott. And number 13, Yite Towns. For Dandenong City, their coach this evening will be Bill Theodoropoulos in place of Nick Tolios. And we'll take you through their lineup this evening. Number 22, Timothy Atharinos. Number 9, Kenny Athayu. Number 23, Will Bauer. Number 2, Stefan Bresovic. Number 13, Vali Sesnik. Number 1, John Hall. Number 17, Danny Kim. Number 25, George Lambadaridis. Number 38, Jackson Lino. Number 5, Jack Webster. And number 19, James Exidius. Atharinos was on the score sheet 2 weeks ago against the Port Melbourne Sharks, was also on the score sheet last time these two sides faced each other in round 1 at Avenger Park. With a starting berth for him this evening, could he be the difference maker for Dandenong City? As for Avondale, a massive win for them last week against the Port Melbourne Sharks, 5-1. As for Dandenong City, an unfortunate and big loss to Heidelberg, 3-1 at home. With Matt Hennessy getting on the score sheet. Kenny Athayu will kick us off. And now we're underway. Kim with the ball towards that left flank. El Hayek and Kamara will sit firm. It's back with Manos. Looking to that right flank, of course. Kamara been in and out of the team with a few injury concerns. He is in place of youngster Massimo D'Argenio, who himself last week missed out due to suspension of accumulation of yellow cards. But it's back with Kamara in the side. So to returning is Blake Carpenter, missed several weeks out himself. Atharinos, Kim. Jack Webster now. Webster looping ball forward. Intended target was Athayu, but it's well contended by Aidan Bryce. Into feet now, Thomas Manos. Former teammates of Aidan Bryce at the Knights a few seasons back. Well and truly has asserted himself as both captain and defensive marshal of this Avondale back four. In defeat is George Ott. We're going to wrestle away from several Dandenong City players. Towns. Back to that right flank. Long ball forward, looking for Sian Cuba. Well dealt with by John Hall. Now Webster. Hall. Back with Webster. Exidius, good first touch. Weaves away past Kerr. He's providing plenty of pressure against St. Exidius, and Kerr. And Avondale's attacking front might be on sale here as Danny Kim slips to ground. Maybe the brief rain patch that we had prior to this fixture, about 5 minutes before, there was a lot of rain that provided plenty of pressure on the surface, you'd have to imagine, and maybe players will be slipping and sliding. And the free kick awarded to the Avengers early on. Ball delivered and cleared out by Hajduk. Katavian back to Bryce. On the bench for Avondale, Stefan Zini, who himself missed out against South a few weeks back, but interesting to note that he's been dropped to the bench, maybe saving him for the cup match against North Sunshine, perhaps. In place, of course, Liston Diaz, who's earned some rare starting berths for the Avengers. As Dandenong City apply the pressure through Lambatarides against Aidan Bryce, but the pass slightly overhit. As for Hajduk, their goals have come through many players this season. Matthews missed a few games, but has provided plenty of enjoyment. So to Thomas Giannakopoulos, who himself still out with injury. Katabian. Carpenter. Here is Aidan Bryce. A long looping ball forward. Ott providing pressure. And eventually does push down Jack Webster. And the free kick will be awarded to Dandenong City. And the benefit of having the ground announcer here at Dandenong City is that we get score updates as soon as someone scores. No Football 24 needed. We have the Dandenong City ground announcer. And Melbourne Knights, we believe, have scored. Or may score eventually. Still 0-0, as I've been told. Cuba. Flicked on header, looking for Diaz. Spin towards Vali Sesnik. Kim. Good first touch by Atharinos, but the wealth of pressure from the South Australian products Kerr and Blake Carpenter were there in that instance. Now it's towards Blake Carpenter. His only goal this season from that full-back position was against Hajduk's sister club in Melbourne Knights. Ott looking to weave past. Can't do. It's back with Webster. Looking towards that right flank. Carpenter with a header. Now it's with Kalalu Kamara. Here is Carpenter. Finds Ott. Heavy first touch, but he does win out the Kiwi. It's back with Towns. Attempted ball towards that right flank is unable to be executed to their liking. And will be a throw-in for Hajduk. Stefan Bresovic hasn't started too many games this season. Of course, the former Bulleen and Bentley Greens product, an important moment for him. Still quite young, in his early 20s. Looks towards that left flank. And Kamara under a wealth of pressure from Lino. And now El Hayek. It's Katabian. And they've cheaply given away a corner. And so Dandenong City with an opportunity to potentially generate something by virtue of this corner. And Timothy Atharinos will stand over this one on that left corner flag. Athiu, Bresovic, Webster the intended targets. Shaped in towards the central region. With the free kick given to the Avengers. I'm going to play it out quickly. Here is Kirk Kerr. Avondale looking to enjoy a spell of possession. Fantastic ball out towards that right flank. Here is Diaz. Bresovic. Under some pressure from Diaz, but evades it. Loops the ball forward into the chest of Kalalu Kamara. Aidan Bryce. Katabian. His pass overhead. That's 2 misplaced passes and is just as many minutes from Joey Katabian. Here's John Hall. Long ball out wide, but to no one in pursuit. Carpenter to Bryce. Across the D. Here is Tom Manos. It's Kamara. Towns. Dandenong City with a staunch press upfield and making the task ever so tough for Avondale to play it out of their defensive half. Haven't really seen a side execute that as well as Dandenong City have in these first 10 minutes. Here is Yite Towns. At this club for so many seasons. He's a part of the furniture at this football club, the Tasmanian. And a couple stints back there during COVID, as we see now Vali Sesnik break the space. It's Vali Sesnik from range. Right into the advertising hoardings. And now we do see Jeff Fleming and Andy Vargas marshal instructions. Not quite satisfied with the opening few minutes here at Dandenong City's home ground. Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. Athiu applying pressure. Here is Aidan Bryce. Looking to go on an adventure of his own and opens up the space for Sian Cuba. Racing forward, it's Cuba. Breaking the space, goes to ground. No free kick awarded. Webster. And Sesnik with his ball slightly overhit. It will be collected by Anamel Hayek. And he'll see it out for a goal kick. Our referee Puyo Garderian with quite the task. Here is El Hayek. Back towards Kamara. Yite Towns. Looking to brush that high line away from the Thunder that Dandenong City can provide. Towns into centre circle. Has to weave past Bauer and does find Liston Diaz. Extremely heavy first touch, but does seek the overlap in El Hayek. Katabian has a track back. Manos. Aidan Bryce. Carpenter. Attempting long ball forward. And John Hall will throw it out towards Stefan Bresovic. Webster. Good combination play from Lambertarides. Exidius. Good touch by Carpenter. Now is Katapian. Misplaced pass finds Kenny Athiu. Short in towards Danny Kim. Looking to weave was Atharinos. And Diaz doing his defensive duties. And a misplaced pass by Hayek. It's once again picked up by Sesnik. A good challenge from Katavian. Picked up by Athiu across the byline. It's Sesnik once more. Look at a flick one in towards the back post. In fact, it looks like he directed it towards goal. And now it will be a goal kick. Kamara. El Hayek. Aiden Bryce. A line-splitting pass by Kalalu Kamara. And away is Liston Diaz. Ott back to goal. Here is Katabian. Towns beats off Lambertarides. Now Kerr. Approaching the left edge of the area. It's back towards Towns. Here is Kerr. Looking to weave past. Towns. Looping ball. The intended target was George Ott, but he couldn't get a foot to it. And a good start from Dandenong City. If you were to assess their defensive capabilities, it's been nothing short of excellent. Now John Hall with the long clearance forward. Zidius. Bryce. Kim's header finds Cuba, who himself finds Liston Diaz. Not the well hit pass that he would have intended on that occasion, but it's still kept in play by the Avengers as Diaz goes to ground and is awarded the free kick. So Kerr and Sion Cuba to potentially deliver. Might it be the left foot of Kerr or the right of Sion Cuba? It looks like it'll be the left of Kerr. Kerr. Strong take by John Hall. Bauer. Here is Carpenter. Throws it laterally, and that's a good little kick over the top from Yite Towns. And Avondale will try once more to get it clear from their defensive third on this occasion. Here is Kalalu Kamara. Bryce with a switch. Carpenter. A good first touch is Ott. It's back towards Blake Carpenter. Here is Kerr. Forced a little bit wide. Tricky feet. Towards the byline. Into the centre it goes. And Lambertarides was there. Nice little piece of play from the Avengers on that occasion, but Kenny Athiu might be free on this left flank. Numbers arriving for Hajduk. It's Kenny Athiu looking towards the back stick as Will Bauer. But that's off the foot of Blake Carpenter. Out for a corner. That's what both of these sides have done fairly well in these opening few minutes. Finding those moments in transition and generating effective opportunities when they do arise to well-composed footballing sides, of course. Both love to score goals. Defensively, they quite haven't been there in recent games. In fact, Dandenong City, 4 games without a clean sheet. Avondale, 3 games without a clean sheet. Just delivered into the centre. Flicked away by the Avengers. Still alive, though, for Hajduk. It's Bauer riding the challenges. But El Hayek kicks it out of play as Will Bauer looks to be in a bit of pain here and might require some medical attention. And what this does give us an opportunity to do is cast our eyes on the action this evening across the grounds. We do have not 1, not 2, 3 NPL Victoria fixtures, including an original Melbourne derby. Melbourne Knights taking on South Melbourne. That is currently 0-0 in the 32nd minute. Moreland City and Green Gully will kick off at 8:30. As play continues, as Bauer's all okay. Aiden Bryce. Blake Carpenter. Of course, formerly of Adelaide United's youth teams. Spent the early part of his youth career at West Adelaide Hellas. Started his Victorian career with the Dandenong Thunder. It's more or less a staple of this back four for the Avengers. Bryce. That was an incredible diagonal ball, but unable to be touched down by an Avondale teammate. Athiu. Vali Sesnik. Into toe with Joey Katavian. A great ball towards Atharinos. Isolated with Blake Carpenter, who wins the one-on-one to a wondrous applause from his fellow teammates. In their minds, you'd have to say. Maybe not distinctly physically in person, but here is Blake Carpenter. Kerr. Good first touch, and Cuba makes a meal of it on that occasion. It's Kerr. El Hayek. Kamara. Bryce. Here's Adam El Hayek. Katavian. El Hayek, of course, a Avondale youth player at one point, but then made the switch to Western United and their youth team in NPL 3, as it was called at the time, and then did return last season. Lambert Aridi's good clearance away. Here is Katabian. Avondale with a healthy spell of possession. Here's El Hayek. A touch towards Cuba. Now finds Diaz. Here's Sian Cuba once more. Pass misdirected. Still kept in play. Across the face of goal it goes. And Webster with a strong clearance away. He's having a good goal-scoring form this season. Did get on the score sheet a few weeks back against Manningham United. Has been a pretty good contributor as well for this City side that earned promotion formerly of the Bentley Greens. Good defensive work from Dandenong City. Will see it out for a goal kick. Under the Filipovic stands is John Hall, of course, the former Adelaide United custodian. Arrived across from the Croydon Kings in NPL South Australia last year. Has easily looked to be one of the best shot stoppers across the state. A bit of head tennis. Eventually finds defeat Sian Cuba. Here's Diaz. And Cuba heads towards Anamel Hayek. Outside the foot pass. Aidan Bryce. And looks like Jack Webster has a bit of a head problem, and well, both physios are on the pitch now. Maybe George Ott needs some attention as well, so maybe a bit of concussion testing or just something on the head, a bit of a head knock. Also gives an opportunity for the coaches to have a few words as well. Lil Theodoropoulos and Zoran Markovsky, Andy Vargas getting amongst it. And the good thing about this broadcast position is that you do hear quite literally everything on the near touchline. Thankfully, not a lot of profanities have been said, but nonetheless intriguing to acknowledge. And, well, first blood has been drawn in the original Melbourne derby, but not in the way that you would think. Melbourne Knights have missed a penalty. An enormous opportunity to go up 1-0, with, of course, Ivan Frangic being given the head coach position this week. A bit of a, dare I say, Ryan Giggs action, formerly when he obviously took the head coaching spot at Manchester United whilst he was still a player. As Yute Towns gives away a free kick. Here is Danny Kim. Rolls it short. Blesevic striding forward. Lambatarides. Runners arriving, including Athiu, but Bryce gets a first touch to it. Here's Webster. The attempted chipped-in ball. I'm not sure who that was directed towards, but nonetheless, will be claimed by Thomas Manos. Avondale slowly growing into this context and maybe just warming up to the conditions here in Dandenong. A very cold evening in mid-May. Of course, we're approaching the winter months, and this is when you could arguably say the NPL is at its best. And these two sides have also had some really great meetings in recent times. Many would remember the stunning goal from Stefan Valentini at this very facility a few years back. Here's Athiu weaving on his left foot. Shoulders a challenge. Lambatarides looking to send it out wide. Couple of step overs and it hits the side netting. But fortunately for Hajduk, a corner is in the offing. Shaped in by Kim. Is Bresevic at the back stick as Will Bauer hits the far post. That was Sesnik. And the first big moment of the match is from Dandenong City's Will Bauer. Dandenong City with now another corner, and they've asked for an extra ball. Athiu was going to retrieve it initially, but the crowd might have just awoken slightly here. Delivered towards the centre. Keep with the headed away initially, and Avondale looked to force a counter-attack, but back to retrieve is Exidius. Sends a great ball towards Atharinos, who can keep it in play. but a quite deft touch of that, and he'll see it out for a goal kick. Both of those players, Timothy Atharinos and Alamel Hayek, who were involved in that brief action, did play their youth football at A-League clubs. Well, Timothy Atharinos actually broke through at Dandenong City and had a great few seasons there as a youngster. Scored 7 goals in 20 games at one point, whilst with Nanawatting. And then, of course, he did sign with the Melbourne Victory. There's good pressure from Kamara. Forces a throw-in. You might say Zoran Markovski will not be satisfied with the efforts of his side in the opening 30 minutes or so. Here's Sesnik. Lino. Beats past one and beats past two. Jackson Lino towards the back post. King Kenny! Can't deliver. Is back with Sesnik. And Kamara with the acrobatic header away. 2 chances go astray for Dandenong City, but they have certainly gained the ascendancy in these opening 30 minutes. And this game has been brought well and truly to life, as Hajduk earn themselves yet another corner. It's delivered low, though. Here's Lambadaridis, completely miscues it and missed everything. Bresevic will pick up the scraps, and it hits Puya Gandarian. It means that we'll have a brief break in play. But how about that passage of play just gone? Kenny Athiu somehow didn't find and pierce the bottom left corner. But there's a bit of a contentious thing about where possession will be given to. It's into the feet of Dandenong City now. Liston Diaz tracking back and doesn't win the throw-in. Here is Vali Sesnik, of course, the former Port Melbourne midfielder, and a great season last time out. Lambadaridis. Bryce with the flick on. Exidius. Athiu tests it down. Here is Atharinos. Now Exidius. Kim providing pressure. Lambadaridis was there for support, but Bresevic gets it clear. Exidius looking down the line and opens up the angle for Timothy Atharinos. Another corner for Dandenong City. And you'd have to say they are on top after that good first passage from Avondale. Delivered towards a back post. Bresevic had the free header, but he headed it straight into the ground. Here is Manos. Bryce. Now El Hayek. In a moment, just to recoup for Avondale. Here is Kalalu Kamara. Short towards Carpenter. Here's Katabian. Avondale forced deeper and deeper. Here is Aiden Bryce. Striding into halfway. Looping ball forward. Kerr was there. Atharinos. Exidius exchanging passes. Kim. Triangle completed. Atharinos. Sesnik. Tracking deeper into the centre circle. Oh, the nutmeg on Liston Diaz. Athiu. Sesnik. Kim. Infield is Exidius. Flicking it towards the back post. And once again, Bryce Was there Kerr riding the challenges from Danny Kim. Of course, both of those players did spend time at the Brisbane Roar, one way or another. Kim, of course, actually made the senior team. Kerr, a stint in the NPL team last season following his stint in Serbia. Cuba. Lambertaridis. Another ex-Brisbane Roar product. Kim. Atherinos has space to drive, but decides to loft it forward. And Alhayak will track back and play it into the feet of Aiden Bryce. Well, it looks like Liston Diaz has switched wings with Kerr, as we do see Kerr on that far side now. Well, you heard it, 0-0 at Knight Stadium between Melbourne Knights and South Melbourne. Is Carpenter. Little 1-2 executed with Sion Cuba. The reverse pass does find defeat Cuba, who struggles to latch his foot onto it. Katabian. And Exidius has to get it clear, and he does so. It's a real chess match feel to this contest, you'd have to say. Both sides really struggling to figure each other out completely. But it looks like Dandenong City's pressing attitude, both in mentality and also execution, has proved quite fruitful as Diaz lines one up from range. A tame shot at that into the palms of John Hall. Hall slips on the deck. And Atherinos wins out the header. Sesnick. Tabian with the interception. Striding forward, misplacing his pass to Liston Diaz, however, and Webster, his clearance with a rising Blake Carpenter. And Cooper. Good first touch by Diaz, and the two number 19s exchanging pleasantries. Here is Blake Carpenter. Hasn't really been bombing up the flanks as we usually do see him do in many games that we've seen this season. Here is Katabian. The first pass was blocked and is forced to retreat and played into the centre circle of Aiden Bryce. Line-splitting pass was attempted, but Athiu and Dandenong City can pick up. This time, weaving, turning, was Vali Sesnick. Oh, that's a strong effort from Yite Towns. Looked like he won the ball, but a yellow card to Yite Towns. And it looks like he definitely won the ball, but might have made contact. And it will be the first yellow card handed out this evening. Yite Towns pleading with the referee and the fourth official, and a yellow card to Zoran Markovski as well. He's already had a touchline ban this season, but Zoran Markovski definitely not afraid to let his feelings known. And see Joey Katabian also in a war of words with the fourth official as well, and the linesman. This is peak NPL football right here. I even saw George Mells have a word with the assistant coaches as well. So after that minute or so break, we could have play restarted, this time with Jack Webster. Chested down. One out by Towns. Undoing towards a back stick. Kim, great first touch by Athiu. Turning onto his left. A great save from Manos. Oh, Dandenong City, might you say, have experienced plenty of joy in that front third. That's the first time Tom Manos has been brought into action. Here is Timothy Atharinos. With the delivery. Atharinos to the centre. Webster! And now Avondale will look to counter, and Diaz wins out on the header. Him and Exidius toe-to-toe. Exidius does win out and plays it down that right touchline. Still managing to keep it in as well, Bauer. And beats past George Ott and Katavian. Still going as Bauer. Excellent work. And now finds Vali Sesnik. Overlapping is Jackson Lino. Decides not to use him. Here is Lambertarides. Bauer once more. Still in play for Athiu. Sends it into the logo just above the goal. Now this contest full of scraps here and there. Liston Diaz firmly in the mix as well. Might not be pretty, but there's certainly a game of football worth salivating here on a Friday night. Here is Thomas Manos. Kalalu Kamara. Kerr shifting away. Hall. Kalalu Kamara. First time ball from Katabian, and Bryce has to retrieve. The leave from Yitte Towns. Into features Aiden Bryce once more. Now Kalalu Kamara. Out to that right flank, El Hayek. Good first touch from Sian Cuba. Approaching the area. Cuba. Ott couldn't get a foot to it, or a head to it either. And now Bauer tracking back. Dandenong City in quite a dangerous position, but they contend with it well and win out the goal kick. And Thomas Manos marshalling instructions to his midfielders and defenders. John Hall. Rising high like a sporting salmon was Blake Carpenter. Dandy City see it out for a throw-in. Zidius. Matthew, flick on. Carpenter. Infield is Sian Cuba. There might be a way here. Avondale. It's Katabian. Atharinos stepping in. And Kamara. Katabian striding forward towards that right touch line. Is Sian Cuba. Katabian is in quite a lot of pain here. This is not good news for Avondale. They already have one player in Christian Trycheski who's not going to be coming back anytime soon, but Joey Katabian, it looks to be okay, but it looked to be in a world of pain earlier on. As it's played quickly, but Puyo Kandarian has called it back. Certainly a lot of confusion. That's to be certain. Now he's having a word with Kenny Athieu. I think might have just bundled over Joey Katabian earlier on. In the centre circle is Aiden Bryce, George Ott, Cuba, lapping it down to the left flank, Carpenter, Diaz, shaping it onto his right, and Webster sends it into the trees. Here is Blake Carpenter, finds Diaz, and Bauer gets it clear. Heavy touch from Vali Sesnik, and Cuba on his left towards Diaz. A good little first touch. He's muscled to ground. Absolute pinball in the penalty area, as eventually Stefan Bresovic batted it clear towards Kalalu Kamara, Aiden Bryce. Yite Towns in space, will drive. Now Hayek checks. Atherinos once again managing to get the interception away. Here is Blake Carpenter. More central. Looking to chip it forward. Kim. Athieu, that's a tremendous touch. Avondale did well from their defensive position. Aiden Bryce. Otts, neat turn away. Bresovic, Katabian with the unanticipated header, but did quite well as defeat is Kerr. And the free kick now awarded. And we'll get stoppage time. How many minutes? We'll just see what our fourth official can conjure up here. Diaz. The heavy touch. Zidius shaping away. Webster. Down the line. Can't be kept in. Carpenter. Oh, looks like they stepped on George Ott, who's still on the ground, and a flailing leg, and Yite Towns involved in the scuffle. He's on a yellow already. And they hold him back because Avondale cannot afford to go a player down. Looks like a deft touch on the leg of a Dandenong City player from George Ott is what calls the fucker. But nothing doing, it looks like. Here is John Hall. Gets it clear. Katabian. Looking to drive. Adam Hayek racing down that right-hand channel. 3 minutes of added time in this first half as well. Probably owing to the amount of stoppages that we've had. Rarely that you do see that in a first half. The header towards Cuba. Calls for a handball. Waved away. They might look to break away, Hajduk. Sesnik. Kim. Zidius. Cuba stepping in. Zidius with the misplaced effort towards El Hayek. And is Cuba rides the effort from Bresovic. It's Sian Cuba Looking right is Kerr. Taking his time to throw this in, Kerr. Taking about 30 seconds, he just gives it to the youngster in Adam El Hayek. The long throw towards Ott. Atharinos. Tabian towards Kerr. Into the centre circle is Aidan Bryce. Slightly left is Carpenter. Towns. Driving. Carpenter looking left. Towns on his left-hand touchline. Regulatory challenge from Dandenong City and a great challenge from Blake Carpenter. Was able to force it out for a Dandenong City throw-in. Zidius looking down the right touchline. Jack Webster can't quite believe it. And it's been given as an Avondale throw-in. I think he was still on the deck here. The halftime whistle has been blown. Not quite what you would have expected going into this contest. 0-0 at halftime between Avondale and Dandenong City. Plenty to play for in the next 45. We'll see as to what can occur here at Frank Holohan. Welcome back to round number 14 of the NPL Victoria men's competition. Dandenong City up against Avondale 0-0 at the halftime break. Plenty to talk about in that first half, especially with the 2 yellow cards to Zoran Markovski and Yite Towns. Dandenong City had the better of the attacking chances, although it's been pretty evenly poised by virtue of possession. With City potentially on the verge of, you'd have to say, their biggest scalp of the season thus far. Can Avondale, with this win, potentially move into top spot on goal difference if they can defeat Dandenong City? All to play for in the next 45. I'm Neil Simons to take you through the action. And we're underway. No changes from either side. Katalu Kamara in defeat. Now is Aiden Bryce. Back with Kamara. Katabian. Looking to that right flank. Diaz looks to win it out, but he does so eventually, keeps it in. Liston Diaz sliding it towards Yite Towns. And Athiu chests it away. Looking to beat past Katalu Kamara. But the well-travelled defender wins out. Here is Blake Carpenter racing up the left flank. Diaz towards the back post is appealing for it. Exidius gets it clear. Here's Kirker. Katavian. Now, Kamara, of course, formerly of the likes of the Metro Stars, Apia Leichhardt, Mounties Wanderers, Sydney Olympic. A brief stint overseas as well. Supanburi FC. And him and Athiu will be the certain classic feast your eyes on, of course, the ex-Victory and Heidelberg maestro. Bit of a career renaissance following his stint in the A-League. Now back in the NPL Victoria and getting consistent minutes with Dandenong City Hajduk. Also a fantastic ambassador for the Southeast Sports Hub that's being proposed. Lino down the line. Athiu. Excellent work. It's Webster. No player in the offing to receive. We'll look at the benches of the two sides, starting off with Avondale. Of course, the Avengers with plenty of injury concerns, but they do have the bench to, I guess, supplement what they currently do not have. Diaz, a great first touch. But Bresevic steps in and we'll see it out for a throw-in. On the bench for Avondale, Mayan, Stefan Zini, George Mells, Massimo D'Argenio, Yusuf Ahmed, and Sebastian Vargas. Yusuf Ahmed of the junior variation, as was coined by Avondale's media manager during the week. Of course, we have two Yusuf Ahmeds, one of them out with an injury. Didn't feature last week. So flags called for offside. On the bench for Dandenong City, of course, a fairly rotated 11 tonight, with, of course, the likes of Stefan Bresevic stepping in. Michael Martinovic, Matt Hennessy, Kurt Kwaku, Nicholas Hambakiotis, and Brady Quinn alongside Saunders. Aiden Bryce. Looks like the rain is coming back, which is, I guess, great news if you're a neutral, because players will be slipping and sliding across the deck, but maybe not so much for the players. The pitch looks already pretty damaged water-wise, so we'll see a long throw-in from Dandenong City. A complete miscue, but it's headed away by Katavian out for a corner. we'll see Dandenong City once again with the attempted delivery. Towards a back stick. George Ott was there in time. And Diaz sees Kerr to his left. Looking for the diagonal for Yite Towns, but it's well dealt with by Dandenong City. Initially, at the very least, as they get it clear. Kerr driving into midfield is Diaz. Looking to line one up, but that's blocked. And George Ott looking to provide support upon Stefan Blisevic. Kamara under pressure. Excellently worked. And now Bryce, the flicked on header. Here is Atharinos, Cuba winning out and looking to his left flank. And Blake Carpenter striding into midfield. Looking to his left is Kerr, cutting onto his right, but well defended by Hodok. Is Carpenter looking to weave his way towards the edge of the area. It's Cuba and Webster with a timely interception. There might be a way here. Hodok, a huge miscue, looking to find Athiu, but it will be kept in play briefly. Good touch back to find Atharinos. Numbers arriving for the home side, and Cuba wins out. The Avengers striding forward. It's Cuba once more. He's brought to the ground. It's Diaz across the face. In fact, it was right towards the near post. And there was a brief call for a penalty for George Ott. That was waved away immediately. We do have another game that's just kicked off about 25 minutes ago. Green Gully up against Moreland City. The goal arriving from teenager Shifa Ahmed, who gets his third of the season, if my estimations are correct, according to Football 24. Hall gets it long. It's with Katabian. Atharinos. The outside of the foot pass. And a huge head clash, it looks like, between George Ott and the Dandenong City player is down as well. So it's the second time Ott has had a head knock, and Kerr has signalled that there must be a change. And the one that makes sense, Yui Ahmed, perhaps, could he come on the park? We've got Stefan Zini, George Mells. If you want to maybe bring up Sian Cuba into a more central area upfield, maybe move Diaz forward into a central striking role. But they are doing a bit of a test on George Ott. South Melbourne have taken a lead against Melbourne Knights, which ensures that they will have still a 5-point lead at the top of the table as things currently stand on Avondale. George Ott just being examined. Danny Kim, of course, down as well. He's back up on his feet, but hopefully that the Kiwi is okay. As for Kim, he looks to be in a bit of better shape. Looks like the physio is doing work on George Ott. Of course, did score a double against South Melbourne a few weeks back. Has proved to be quite the addition. following his arrival from St Albans Saints last season. And Ott is going to step off. It looks like his eye has a bit of a cut. And Zoran Markovski is going to examine him as well and probably make his decision on his understanding. Yeah, you can see his left eye is heavily bruised, or cut at that. This is not good news for Avondale, but it looks like they're just going to pour water over it. Carpenter with the switch finds Diaz, and great first touch. Drives into space, and Atharinos is beaten, and Liston Diaz looks to line one up from range. Stefan Zini is getting ready. It looks like we'll see the introduction of the Avondale winger, having just about a career season with the Avengers. And it looks like George Ott's night has ended. We'll see Stefan Zini make his way onto the park, probably a little bit earlier than Zoran Markovski would have liked. This will also force a tactical switch in terms of Avondale's formation. Here's Jackson Leno. Kim. Here is Jack Webster. Xidius, long ball forward. Athiu is there. He's got Atharinos at the back post, but Athiu will go all alone for the time being. Incides the ball towards Bauer. Carpenter with a timely challenge. And will force a corner. Stefan Zini making his way onto the park. 8 goals this season for the winger. Of course, formerly of the likes of Melbourne City and the Wanderers, a couple games at those clubs. Is a massive impact off the bench. A great tool to have at your disposal. Delivered towards the near post. It's Towns. And it's kept alive by Dandenong City. But I think that's been sent right into the netting. So what will the tactical change be? It looks like Kerr's going to go up top. So a player that's usually forced in wide positions will go up top now for the Avengers. Stefan Zini looks to go left. Diaz will still stay right. So it'll be interesting to see how they'll utilize Kerr compared to George Ott, who's very much a ball-to-feet striker. Likes to hold it up, of course, due to his height, but certainly has made the task a little bit tricky. Of course, Avondale don't really have an out-and-out number 9. With, of course, Yusuf Ahmed Sr. Well, I think that's the only way we could distinguish them being out of this contest. Picked up by Atharinos, and Xidius is racing down that right channel. And an excellent challenge from Blake Carpenter. Webster. Bresovic. Leno stepping in. Of course, played his football at a senior level at Heidelberg United before joining the Victory Academy, in which he spent a bit of time there. Was involved in Dandenong City's promotion year last season as well. Good touch from Atharinos. Zini closes him down. And the ball still kept alive by City, and Atharinos has space on his right flank. Sends it into the mixer. Here is Bauer. Short towards Kim. Letting one fly! Hooking left in the end. Katabian. Bresovic back to Hall. Katabian. Towns, Cuba, Towns. Couldn't get the header forward. Towards Kamara. Here is Katabian. Diaz striding into midfield, riding challenges and finds in space. Yite Towns! It's been muscled down and the free kick awarded, a yellow card to Jack Webster just outside of the area. It looks like upon first inspection, and we will see the Avengers with a golden opportunity to fashion one from a set piece. We've seen Sian Cuba deliver it against Moreland City, and that was a great finish at that. Can he turn bravado once more? We've got the likes of Stefan Zinni, Sian Cuba, Kerr as well. He can let one fly. Blake Carpenter. You've really just got options aplenty. A pivotal moment in this game now. Kerr, Blake Carpenter, Cuba, all standing over this one. Gandarian is going to blow his whistle eventually. This is the moment for the Avengers. They've battled all evening. And it's going to be Blake Carpenter! Right into the arms of John Hall. No worries for Dandenong City. The Gaelic-like clearance forward. Atholinos. In fact, it will be James Exidius. Atholinos. Look at the loft one in. Well dealt with by Blake Carpenter. And Kerr has plenty of space to work with and will unleash Stefan Zinni, who beats past Stefan Bresovic. It's Zinni on his right foot towards the back stick. Diaz onto his left now. Liston Diaz. Wasn't quite to be. And it looks like Dandenong City are going to make a change. As we approach the 56th minute mark. They've been on the back foot a lot in the second half of Dandenong City. Could this be the circuit breaker? This change that they're about to make? Bresovic to Manos. Kerr, great ball to that left flank. It's Blake Carpenter. Now Zinni. Breaking space. Carpenter. Kerr. Quick passes from the Avengers. Couple of step overs. Towns overlapping. Is Al Hayek stepping in midfield. It's with Liston Diaz. Shaping a delivery into the chest of Jack Webster. Thrown to feet to James Exidius. A great ball out to that right flank. If only he was able to reach the feet of Athorinos as Bryce under a lot of pressure. And Manos clears out well. But right into feet of George Lambadaridis. Will Bauer. El Hayek closes him down. Kim. Delivered to the centre. Katabian. The tempo raised, spaces opening. Lambadaridi shapes away from Kerr and looks to let one fly from range, and we'll see the introduction of Brady Quinn coming on for Timothy Atherinos, the former Springvale White Eagle. Ex-Melbourne Victory as well in their youth system. 8 goals. In fact, 5, should I say. 5 goals last season. Here is Kalalu Kamara. El Hayek. Katabian, that's a great ball forward. And Liston Diaz is free, but Liston Diaz is also offside. Not too pleased is Diaz. Really struggled to find a lot of space on that right flank since switching with Kerr. That position now taken up by Stefan Zini, of course. Looks like Kerr might be the Mr. Reliable of this Avondale team. Dare I say, the Lee Broxham of the NPL can play striker, left wing, right wing. Played a fullback a few weeks ago. It's cleared by Manos. Right to Joey Katabian. That's an exquisite ball towards Stefan Zini. And Brady Quinn, we know what he can do at this level. Quite a dynamic player to have off the bench. Provides plenty of width and also space in the middle to strike when needed, when called upon. Kamara. Kerr, exquisite turn. Bresevic unleashes a fantastic ball towards Zini, who will pick up and face Exidius. Couple of step overs, rolling it short towards Cuba. It went to ground, awarded the free kick. And a free kick from a very similar position to the one we saw just a few minutes back. Well, it was Blake Carpenter who delivered the initial ball. Might they look for Sian Cuba or Kerr this time? Who knows? A critical juncture, as always, is a free kick. It'll be Sian Cuba. Hits the right post. It's with Bryce, and it's bundled in by Stefan Zini. No. But it's been called as offside. Well. Drama ensuing. Goodness gracious. It looked like Avondale had broken the long-standing stalemate that we've had in this contest, but the linesman on the near side has called for offside. Gandirian is going to have a discussion, but it has been given as a goal kick. And they'll look to take it quickly. Dandenong City, Avondale players racing back. It's Quinn. It's Sesnick. It's rolled square. No player arriving except for Lambadaridi. What drama. Lino. What drama. John Hall. Calls for a handball against Al Hayek, but it's Bauer racing through, and he's brought to ground as well. Right on the edge of the penalty area. A yellow card for Kalalu Kamara. Well, Haven't we been treated to an entertaining second half? And there's only 20 minutes left as well. Aren't we on course? For an intriguing finish. A climax. Over this one is Vali Sesnik. It'd be some way to put your name in headlights. It's also George Lambadaridis. But it will look like the right foot of Vali Sesnik will deliver right into the wall, in fact. The second bite of the cherry gets it away past the byline. Kamara with a strong header. The backwards header from El Hayek. It's in towards Lambadaridis. And now El Hayek looking to play it forward. It's Quinn. And Dandenong City will reset. The attempted flick from Lambadaridis. And El Hayek towards Diaz. Bresovic. Cuba stepping in. Muscling his way past the defender. A good touch from Zinni. Evades, Bowo slips. Stefan Zinni. A tame shot on goal. Just have a moment to breathe, really. What a few minutes we've just had. Hall. Carpenter, Zinni. Awarded the free kick. It's Kalalu Kamara. El Hayek. It's Hayden Bryce. Skipping past Quinn and sending the diag to that left flank. No one in pursuit, however. Zoran Markovsky is still upset about that disallowed goal. Can't really blame him, to be honest, based on the assessment he's provided. But unless it's been given as a disallowed goal, Zinni. Bresovic sent over the top, out for a corner. Well, Avondale with a potential delivery here through Sian Cuba. It is Sian Cuba to the near post. Kim getting it away. Katabian towards Sian Cuba. A tug of the shirt initially, but it's sent back into the Avondale defence. Yute Towns. Neat pass to Aidan Bryce. Looked for Diaz. Didn't find him. Just on halfway is Kalalu Kamara. Kerr. Kerr. An exquisite touch. Now Zinni. Carpenter providing the overlap. It's with Stefan Zinni looking to bundle his way through. Yute Towns. Brilliant reverse pass. Carpenter. Once again, Avondale unable to force something forward. It's Joey Katabian. It's Cuba Back to goal. Turning onto his left. Insights the ball in the middle, but John Hall will claim. Carpenter. Now Zinni. Exchanging passes with Joey Katabian, and a neat flick from Kerr. But unable to be applied by Yite Towns, and El Hayek sends it over the top. Out for a throw-in. Lino. The touch from Bauer. Kamara. Kerr. Pressured by Bresovic and is eventually awarded the foul. And a yellow card for Stefan Bresovic for his involvement on that occasion. It's Katabian. Kamara. Long ball upfield. A foul given away on Kerr. Markovsky can't believe it either. And that's a yellow card to, I think, Joey Katabian, was it? It looks like, at least. Well, they can't quite believe it, but Jack Webster went to ground, so... Boya Gandarian having a few discussions here and there. This play now restarts through Jack Webster. Long ball forward. Matthew with the deft touch. El Hayek has to send it high over the bar once again. Looks like we have a lack of balls per se, as Jackson Lino now will throw it in. Looks like it might go long here. It was Kamara who just sent it over the top. Calls for more balls. We do have one here on this near side. Now the throw in. Flicked on by Athiu. Calls for a handball against Khalid Kamara, waved away. We will have a double change. Yusuf Ahmed and George Mells to come on for the Avengers. Athiu towards the byline. It's Quinn who manages to keep it in. Flicked in towards the back post. Bryce there to pick up. It might fall kindly for Athiu, but Katabian bats it away. Webster forces it towards Brady Quinn. Afforded space and cuts onto his right. It's Brady Quinn rolling it square. Lambatarides! Can the follow-up be delivered? It can't. And Thomas Manos coming up big once more. And so now, the tall task remains for Dandenong City, but a double change. City towards the centre. Well dealt with by Liston Diaz. He flicks it over the top. Racing forward is Blake Carpenter. Kerr and Stefan Zinni for support. It's Carpenter. He can't deliver. And the two changes oncoming now. George Mells, Yusuf Ahmed. Yusuf Ahmed Jr., of course. as nicknamed, as I mentioned, by the media manager at Avondale. He's played his trade in South Australia and had a brief injury setback this season, but is well and truly in the first team now. Lambertarides, it's with Kenny Athew. And he just took one steps too many and is awarded the free kick eventually. A lot of urgency, and Cuba has space to work with. It's with Kerr on that right edge of the area. Twisting, turning, beating past several players. A double falcon within Dandenong City defence. And it's kept in by Kadalu Kamara. Ute Towns. Now Aiden Bryce. Here is Joey Katabian. Looking for the switch. That was briefly touched by Brady Quinn. And now we'll see that double change. George Mells, of course, formerly of Port Melbourne. Applied his trade with Adelaide United's championship winning squad in 2016. And Liston Diaz and Ute Towns are going to make way. .82 minutes into this contest. Dandenong City with only one change so far, so certainly intriguing one to consider. It's kept in down the line by El Hayek. Its interfeet is Mells. Back towards Bryce. Both sides with much urgency going forward. And you can't really blame either coach for desiring that added intensity. Interfeet is Mells. Back towards Bryce. Here is Kamara. Mells once more. Receiving plenty of the ball early on. Good touch by Ahmed. Back to Mells. A reverse pass for Cuba. Here is Kerr. El Hayek. Short towards Kerr. Just on the edge of the area. Mells once more. Opens up the space. A great ball towards El Hayek. But a good challenge from Jackson Lino will force it out for a corner. And Jackson Lino is in plenty of pain here. It was a great little ball from Mells out towards that right flank. But Lino is back up on his feet. Well, here Avondale look to execute a bit of a set-piece routine. As it's delivered towards the back post, John Hall can claim. And a free kick awarded. John Hall just hit the back of his head, it looks like. They've called for a physio, so... Well, John Hall looks all okay. Initially, he's back up on his backside, at least. It gives us an opportunity to take a look at the scores around the grounds in the NPL Victoria. South Melbourne secured a 1-0 victory away at Melbourne Knights with a goal from Inglese. Don't know which Inglese brother it is, but nonetheless, a much needed 3 points for South Melbourne. Moreland City currently locked up at 1-1 with Green Gully at the halftime break as well. Still a bit to play in this contest. Looks like we'll definitely have more than 5 minutes of added time, just by the looks of how many stoppages we've had, but 85 minutes gone. Anything can change in these last few moments. And it looks like Dandenong City are going to make a change as well. Maybe two, but it looks like one will be made. Gandirian has called it to be played deeper. And Kurt Kawaku is going to make way. He's going to come on, should I say. Third season at Dandenong City, former Adelaide Blue Eagle. Athiu. Nice little dink over the top. It's Bauer. It's still high, and it might fall right kindly for Brady Quinn. Although Ahmed providing plenty of space. And Will Bauer is going to make way for Kurt Kawaku. El Hayek. I'm not sure why he's played it before the play even came off. Oh, it's been given as a Avondale throw-in. Definitely came off, it looks like, at least a Avondale player. Avondale playing with plenty of urgency. Into feeders Mells. El Hayek. Looking to weave past Brady Quinn. He does very well, in fact. A good little first touch. It's back with Mells, looking down the line. And Brezovic gets it clear. Mine with a bit of acrobatics as well. Thrown in by El Hayek. So Blake Carpenter now. Touch from Cuba. Holding up the ball on that left flank. And looking deeper for Katabian. And he's forced back as well. Might look to try this right side and see what they can muster up. This side, Kerr, long touch. Mells looking towards Yusuf Ahmed. He can't keep it in. Oh, Jackson Leno stepped over the line and he's been given a yellow card. It's thrown in eventually, Ahmed. Back with Leno. A touch from Katabian. Ahmed unable to bring it forward. Carpenter gets it under control for Thomas Manos. You just do feel that this game has at least one or two late chances for either side, but perhaps, maybe. Kadalu Kamara. Into feet. Kerr, the flick on for Katabian. And space offered on that left flank for Stefan Zini. Carpenter providing support as well. Laterally for Katabian. Looking towards that right flank. Yusuf Ahmed driving into the area. Couple of step overs, but he's wrestled down eventually. And Lambadarides with incisive ball. And Sesnik is all alone. Carpenter racing back to retrieve. It's Vali Sesnik. Eventually charged down by Sian Cuba. And Sesnik infield towards Kim. Attempted ball towards Athiu. A good first touch. It's Lambadarides. Aiden Bryce. Katabian. He's pushed off the ball. Lambadarides once more towards that right flank. Avondale just cheaply giving it away in that defensive region. And it looks like we will have 6 minutes of added time. Ahmed. Between the legs of Jackson Leno. Mells weaving past Kawaku towards Kerr. Shaping it left. Here is Blake Carpenter. Forced to turn away and not quite on cue with his teammates. And once again, Katabian picks up in central defensive position. Zinni, muscle to deck. Kerr! Just going wide. And that is confirmed. 6 minutes of added time here at Frank Holohan Soccer Complex. Quinn. Well, make yourself a hero, Dandenong City or Avondale. The title race firmly in the control of Avondale at this point in time. If they can get themselves a go-ahead goal. But a point will dramatically change things up at the top of the standings. Mel's unable to retrieve. It's Quinn. Webster. Chipped in towards Vali Sesnik. Carpenter wins out. A great ball down the line initially for Stefan Zinni. But it's a battered out of play by Dandenong City. Katabian. Mel's brilliant pass towards Sian Cuba. Breaks away and is brought to ground. The strike on goal arrives eventually. It's out for a corner. Well, Zinni exchanging passes with Cuba. Cuba did go to ground, so might have been awarded the free kick, but this is Avondale's opportunity to strike now from the set piece. Kerr, Kamara stepping up. It's Sian Cuba from range. Not too long left here at Frank Holohan. Just about 4 minutes left. Hall with the goal kick. And Carpenter has space ahead of him to run into. Touch from Kerr. In towards Cuba, who's muscled to ground. No foul awarded. Mel's El Hayek. Now with Yusuf Ahmed. Laterally to Mel's. Back towards Ahmed. And this could be the moment for Dandenong City. It's Brady Quinn. Forced wide by Kalalu Kamara, and that's great work. Manos plays it away quickly. Dandenong City will make one more change to just eat up the time remaining in this tie. Zinni. Kalalu Kamaru. Kamara seeks Mel's. On his left. George Mel's cutting back. Here is Stefan Zinni! No! Cuba with the header. And Hall can parry it away. A golden chance goes begging for Avondale. And the trickery from Blake Carpenter. Into feet is Cuba. Mel's looking out right for El Hayek. Into the centre it goes. It's out for a corner. Now we're going to make a change, but Nicholas Hamakiotis won't come on right now. Avondale to deliver. It's a flat delivery, in fact, and Bryce will have to retrieve. It's El Hayek. Good little touch from Ahmed and a heavy one from Adam El Hayek. Vali Sesnik will come off for Nicholas Hamakiotis. A good shift from Vali Sesnik, who's done very well in bringing up the ball forward. Avondale have done all they can. Have thrown just about the kitchen sink at it. George Mel's masquerading as a striker at some points as well. And Hall is able to get it clear. Just about 1 minute left. Lambertarides. Long ball forward. Bryce. Now it's with Manos with the clearance. Blesovic with the header. Katabian with the first touch. Forced left. It eventually does find the feet of Stefan Zini. It's with Blake Carpenter. Drives into midfield and spots out Yusuf Ahmed on the right flank. Driving past the byline, cutting away. Here is El Hayek. Shifted into the centre. And Kuwaku. Now towards Ahmed. Cheaply gives it away. Closed down initially by George Mells. This might be the final act. On a cold Friday evening at Frank Holohan, it's Blake Carpenter. Towards Kirker. Driving left. Kirker rolls square. Cuba. Sits kindly for Mells. On his left. Shot deflected. Mells again! George Mells for Avondale! In the 96th minute! His first for the football club! His first in Avondale colours! You quite can't write scripts like this! A bit of flair on his left foot! George Mells wins it for Avondale! Unbelievable! Unbelievable! With just about the last kick of the game, George Mells has pulled one out of the fire! He's barely been in the starting 11 this season, but he's come up big in perhaps the biggest moment we've seen for Avondale in quite some time. Late drama, George Mells. If you don't succeed, try and try again. That's been the story for Avondale and Dandenong City. It looks like a yellow card awarded to, I think, a coach. They've fought so valiantly, so well. But not quite this evening. And a yellow card for Stefan Zini. I'm not entirely sure what for, but Puyo Gandarian has handed out plenty of yellow cards at that. Well, one last chance for Dandenong City. Can they lock things up? It's Hamakiotis. A long ball forward. Out to that left flank. To no one in particular. Gandarian looks at his watch. The long ball forward again from Dandenong City. They are fighting with every ounce in their body. They would not want to go 3 losses down at this time. The full-time whistle blows. Avondale secure the most knife edges of victories you could possibly imagine, with a goal from their substitute, George Mells. An unbelievable turn of events here at Frank Holohan. Avondale continue their winning streak and have put the pressure on South Melbourne in first place. As the Dandenong City, they fought so hard, they had the better of them in that first half, but couldn't quite find the time and space that they required. I've been Neil Simons for NPL Victoria. It's been a pleasure to have your company this evening. Thank you and good night.